Looks like you have a call coming in. Go ahead, caller. Thanks for calling. You're on Sports Sound Off. Go ahead, caller. You're on Sports. Go ahead, caller. You're on Sports Sound Off. Go ahead.
Thank you, Steve. I wanted to ask Joe, Joe, did you have your grandfather or other relatives involved in professional sports, or were they swimmers as well? What I know you kind of touched base on that, but I was curious what kept you going to the area of sports. Thanks.
Thanks for the call.
Well, thank you. Yeah, my father actually played for University of Tampa basketball.
All right.
And he came back here on the GI Bill after the war and played 4 years and was a Spartan. And so we were an athletic family. And it was not a forced thing. I think it was just a lifestyle back in the day. It was something that we just chose to do.
Well, great. You know, I mean, that's one of those things. We pick up so many things from our parents, the love of sport and the love of what we're doing and how to do things and how to act, and that's just tremendous. So,
And not to mention, my uncle was on the football team, and it was my dad's twin. So one was a football player, one was a basketball player.
How could they tell them apart?
Well, one was a little taller than the other, but the other one was real tough, and he still is. He's going strong at 83.
Oh, that's great. That's what you love to hear.
That's my Uncle Frank, yes.
Yeah, that's what you love to hear is that guys are still doing it. And,
yes, absolutely.
Still a part of what's happening. Tell you what, let's continue on with what's going on with sports here. With some of the things that are happening in sports, the headlines for this week, if you want to continue this conversation with us, you can call us 813-254-7820. And you can also find us via email at sportssoundoff@aol.com. But in terms of things that are going on, heck, Brett Favre's back in the news. Some good, some not so good. For instance, he's being investigated by the NFL. What do you think about this?
I find it funny that it's coming up 2 years later. I think somebody had a little prop for Brett, and I feel bad for him. I know he's been through a lot, and I don't know the details, but
I think we're all hoping that it gets cleared up pretty quickly. Look like we had a call coming in. Caller, go ahead. You're on Sports Sound Off.
Yes, hello. I was just wondering, while you were going to school and playing football, how hard was it to keep up with your studies while you were playing? Because I know that it can be difficult sometimes, and I was always just curious to ask a football player that. Also, what do you think about the whole Brett Favre thing, and should he have just quit while he was ahead?
Wow. Well, should you quit while he was ahead?
Well, let's start with the education.
Let's start with the education. Really start with the upside, right?
Yeah, and actually, Florida has done I had a good high school upbringing in school too, so we got a lot of support at Jesuit. And it continued at Florida, and it continues today. Florida does a great job with their athletes. We had to spend a certain amount of time in the classroom, and of course we had to make class, and then we had to go to tutoring and that type of thing at night, study hall. And so you had to put your time in, and they were very supportive back then as they are today that I experienced with my boys. And,
well, that's what you love to hear is that there's some support.
As far as Brett Favre, I said earlier, I find it hard to understand why this young lady has brought this out 2 years later and after her Playboy spread. So
maybe she just needs 15 more minutes of fame.
Something's going on, and I hate to see them hurt a guy that's doing something that nobody else has out there. I mean, the guy really performs well. It's it's one of those unfortunate things when you're in the limelight.
Sure, absolutely. Well, let's do this here. Let's keep moving on. We had Favre versus Romo this weekend, and Favre won that battle. So he's been on the upside of some things here recently because both of those teams were in a position where we weren't sure whether either one of those teams were going to be able to do anything. There was a lot of promise for both of them. Randy Moss goes to Minnesota, and Romo's had all that talent around him at Dallas, and they can't seem to put W's up. Is Jerry Jones going to lose his patience?
I think probably so. That's his nature. And I think that the Cowboys will come around, though, as the season progresses. They have that young man from Mammoth. And I think they've got some other great talent. And I enjoy watching the Cowboys still today.
Yeah. Me too. I like watching them just to see what's going to happen. It's going to be exciting no matter what it is. And
Absolutely.
one thing's for certain. When you build a stadium that big, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things. Let's see. We got the helmet to helmet hits. Now, as a football player, you've taken and given some hits before. We've had 4 dangerous hits, and they were talking about finding guys and now taking guys and suspending them. What do you think about that?
You know, it goes back to when I was playing. We hit with our forehead, and that was where you hit, and it was something that you'd run as hard as you could into whatever you were trying to hit with your forehead. And nowadays they try to set these rules, but I think obviously in the open field with these defensive backs coming that hard, I mean, they've got to put some shoulders on people instead of heads, or people are going to get seriously hurt.
Well, you had 2 guys that knocked each other out. Deshaun Jackson, when he got hit, the back that hit him
He
was
went
out
out
as
too,
well.
yes.
So, and the guy got fined for the hit. It's just, it's tough to see. Now, the Bucks are 3-2. They lost both their games at Raymond James.
Yeah.
And we've got a game this week at Raymond James against the Rams. You think we win that one?
I think we'll win this one, and I think the coach is trying to do what he needs to do to move the guys in the right direction. So I wish him the best.
Well, yeah, my difficult thing in watching the team, it looks like the running game, which sets the tone for a young quarterback who maybe can struggle, maybe isn't doing so well. Cadillac looks like he's in neutral. He doesn't have a forward gear right now. You lost Higgins, who was a lot of promise for that team.
Yes.
To injury. We've got some injuries. It's been very difficult as that's going along to see how that's working. And so, but they're bright spots. Williams and Spurlock, McCoy. The defense is as solid as it's ever been, I think.
I think they need to put more pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, though.
Yeah.
And it's a natural thing. That young guys are working as hard as they can right now, and they're getting used to the new league. It's a lot faster. Bigger guys to get around.
And things happen a lot quicker than you're used to.
I think those boys are going to do great. They really are. They're young guys with a lot of aggression. I think they're going to do fine.
Yeah. What do you think about Freeman?
I really like him. I think he's a great kid. I think he holds his head up high. He works hard. He's a good leader. I think he's got raw natural talent, and I think he's going to really develop.
Well, he's a big kid. I mean, that's the thing. When he's back there, he's not one of those guys you can put an arm on him and bring him down.
Absolutely.
He's
a fullback.
yeah, exactly. He's a fullback. Standing in the pocket. So that's for me is a wonderful thing. Tell you what, let's switch gears. We talked about college football a little bit. We talked about the fact that the Bolts are back, and their schedule has been great. They're 4-1. For those that are hockey fans, we're going to talk more about hockey as we go along this season, but we want to definitely give props to the Bolts. That 4-1 record to start off has been tremendous. But let's go into college football a little bit. Specifically, the Gators have a bye week this week.
Yep.
And then we have the cocktail party coming up.
It's coming up.
On the 30th. FSU has a bye week this week, and then has NC State, which has always traditionally been a difficult game for them. USF is playing Cincinnati on national TV this week on Friday night, and for me, the most difficult thing about it is they seem to not do well on these games during the middle of the week.
I wish them the best. I'm hoping that they can pull it together. I think the young quarterback at South Florida, B.J. Daniels, is a very good talent, and I think the support around him is decent, and I think they need to just keep coming. It's a young team, and they're having a little.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody has any comments specifically about college football, call us. Let us know what you think. We're going to be talking about the BCS in here in a minute. It's 813-254-7820. Just had a graphic up, as a matter of fact, I want to talk about, and that's FSU is undefeated in the ACC.
I love it.
Jimbo Fisher is looking like the guy who said, you had me as the coach in waiting. I'm now the coach. This is what happens when you say, you've got the right guy. People are looking like geniuses, as opposed to really it could have been ugly if they've got a lot of losses.
And I'm happy for the Seminoles. I think that the whole program needed this, and there's a lot of great folks that, including some of my family and some of my dear friends, that played either baseball or football there. and I'm happy for them. And
Yeah,
I
that's
think
great stuff.
it's going to make a great end of the year game too.
Oh
I think,
yeah, yeah. At the end of the year, it's going to be great. Now
Yeah.
the Gators fall from the top 25 for the first time in what 43 weeks. It's tough to hear that.